Welcome to the Owning Your Sexual Self podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Main, awesome wife and dog mom for life. I'm a sex therapist turned sex coach, and I run a successful business selling relationship enhancement products. I absolutely love talking about all things sex. So you can expect this podcast to explore all things related to women's sexual health because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you discover and embrace what brings you pleasure so that you can own your sexual self. If that sounds good to you, then keep listening and let's fucking do this. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Owning Your Sexual Self podcast. I have on a guest with me today, Stephanie Boyd. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Same, all the way from Cali. We are very, very far away from each other. So I love that. Thank you to Zoom and Instagram for connecting people like you and I. I'm always grateful for that.
Yeah, it's amazing how you can be so connected from so far away nowadays.
I know. We got connected through Jordan. It's funny, Jordan and I haven't even met in real life, basically is what I call it. So we get to meet next month. Actually, in 2 weeks, we get to meet in person for the first time, which I think is just, I feel like I've literally known her my entire life, which I think is just super cool, especially when you meet people, you know, like us, that we do the similar type of work, and then you get to meet in person, and it's like, yeah, I just feel like the floodgates are going to open, and there's going to be lots of hugs and things.
That's so exciting. I love meeting like my online friends and making them in-person friends. I'm like, I feel like I've known you longer than I've known my actual friends.
I know. It's literally wild.
Yeah.
So Stephanie, okay, so we do similar work. Can you tell our listeners what is it, the type of work that you do and kind of how you got into this field?
So I am a breathwork facilitator and pleasure mentor. And the way that I got into doing the pleasure mentor and the breathwork is after my own herpes diagnosis, I realized that there were a lot of different traumas that were stuck in me from my childhood or past lives and all the things. So I first started my journey through working with my emotional eating. And then from there, I started advocating more for people who have been diagnosed with herpes. And then I was like, you know what? It's time for me to actually own like this kinky, freaky side of me that's always been there. But it really got shoved down a lot after my diagnosis because I started to think, oh, maybe I'm supposed to not be the sexual person and I'm supposed to be like more like prim and proper. But that just wasn't working for me anymore. So I was like, you know what? I'm coming out of the closet. Like, I am a little freak and I am okay with it.
Yes, I love that. I know it's, especially in this type of work, like I feel like when you're in the sex industry or, you know, sex work or whatever, you're in the sex world, basically you have to be authentic because I feel like especially people and clients that are coming to us to do this type of work, they can read through the bullshit, right? Like they know if I'm sitting here, if I'm telling you how to give a blowjob and I'm not someone that gives a blowjob myself, right? Like they're like, do you even know what a penis is? Like
100%. And I was even feeling like the own shame within myself of like, okay, I'm telling people like they don't have to have casual sex or, you know, like to really be aware of like who you're giving your energy to. And while all that is true, there's also like a whole other side of it of like owning your own sexual desires and knowing that like just because you do have casual sex, it doesn't mean anything's wrong with you or that you're a slut or anything like that. It's like just owning who you are as a sensual and sexual person.
Yeah. Absolutely. I preach it, girl. Like seriously, the more my listeners can hear other people and women specifically hear other people say that is the fucking better because they've heard me say it probably every episode.
Yeah, for sure. And you're right, because it makes other women feel so much more empowered of like, oh, I'm not alone. Oh, this is normal. Oh, it's okay to like seeing penises or it's okay to love giving blowjobs. Like nothing of that means that we're doing something wrong, but it's like the stigma behind all of it and of how women are supposed to be that we just like shove down these parts of ourselves.
Yeah. And so you mentioned that you are a breathwork facilitator. Can you share with us what the hell is that even?
Yeah, for sure. So breathwork is like a powerful way for us to release trapped emotions that have been stuck inside of our bodies. So it allows us to literally let the body do whatever it's meant to do just through the power of breath. during my sessions, I really love to have people connect in with their vulvas. So I'll encourage them to put their hand over their vulva and just like feel like the blood like rushing through. Obviously, if they're comfortable with that, because we know a lot of people aren't even comfortable with touching themselves. But really a way to just release emotion without having to like think our way through it. We can just allow the body to do whatever it's meant to do with breath. And it's so powerful. So some people can end up having orgasms during breath work. Some people can cry, they can laugh. Like there's so many different releases that happen, but it's so beautiful to be able to connect in with our bodies rather than always trying to like think our way through things.
Absolutely. I know I've dabbled in the breathwork field, not to facilitate, but definitely being on the other end of it more recently, I would say within the last year. And I was that person that I consider breathwork to be like the quote unquote woo type of stuff, you know, like it's like, you know, breathing into yourself and what's coming up for you. And can you describe that as a color or a shape or a texture? And I'm like, what in the fuck is this person asking me to do? And for me, it was really, really hard. I'm a high functioning anxious person. And so to even get my mind to shut off and get in that state to even like literally something as simple as noticing your breath was super hard for me. So how, for your personal journey with this, how did you first like introduce yourself into this type of work?
Yeah. So probably like when I was like 19 years old, you know, like I really loved yoga and I really loved like connecting in with my body in that way. But as like I got older, you know, I was again like shoving down these different parts of myself because I was like, I seem like the weird like 19-year-old like that's not wanting to go out and party all the time and drink. So I was like, let me sort of like fit in with other people. And then once I started my healing journey, one of my mentors, she got certified in breath work and then just was constantly like allowing us to experience it. And it became one of my favorite things because again, like it just releases so much in our bodies that like we're not able to do through the mind space. And when we're able to release it in our bodies, we just like feel so much lighter. And we're able to also like process whatever comes up afterwards too. So like, even though you're not consciously thinking the whole time, afterwards, like the processing is even more beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. And how did you then like mix this with the world of sexuality?
I just said, you know what? I think these two things will be beautiful to go together. And I was like, why not be the one to bring them together? Because I know how powerful breath work can be. So again, like I really encourage people to, when they're breathing, to feel the sensations that are going to their genital region or to feel the sensations on their body. Like even if like they're connecting with their body in a sensual way through sensual touch while they're breathing, it's really just honing in on like, okay, this is what my body can feel like this is what home can feel like, rather than all of the thoughts all up in here all the time. Yeah. And I'm pointing to my head for the listeners because they can't see me and I forgot.
That's okay. No, and I think that's so, I'm really curious. So in somebody that's listening right now and they're like, okay, I want to try to practice this breath work. I want to try to calm down my body. And I'm thinking more in terms, I love to do the work around, you know, self-pleasure and masturbation. Thinking from my own experience during, you know, bringing myself to orgasm, I'm typically in like this very tense, like squeezing type of space. And it wasn't long ago, I had another guest on that we were talking about, just like literally feeling into your orgasm and letting that release and being more calmer. And so when you are speaking specifically around breathwork, that's what I think. I think you have to be in this like calmer, sort of relaxed state. And so how can you, someone that's listening, how would you walk them through if they were going to try to use breathwork during their next masturbation session?
Yeah, so definitely connecting in with our breath when masturbating, because when we're masturbating and on the verge of an orgasm, we tend to hold our breath. We tend to like curl our toes, and instead it's like, okay, let's unleash everything, become more relaxed. And the more that we're breathing into the orgasms, like for me anyway, the deeper they are. And like the more I'm like unclenching my toes and like just allowing the sensation to move through my body, the longer my orgasms will even last. So it's just allowing yourself to know that like being constricted is not allowing your nervous system and your orgasms to fully explode through you. And then even after you climax, like breathing into that sensation, like letting that sensation continuously fill up your body for a few minutes after, because a lot of the times, like after we climax, you know, we get up, we're like, okay, like great, that was great. But like allowing ourselves that extra time to like really feel into like, wow, like this is what it feels like in my body, to then like stabilize your nervous system. And then you can carry those feelings with you throughout the rest of the day.
Yeah. And would you say that this is something that people can only do on solo terms?
Oh, hell no. I would think that you can do this like with partners, multiple partners. I've never tried it with multiple partners, but not yet anyway. But I do think that you can definitely do it with your partner. I mean, with Tantra, however you pronounce it, you know, they're constantly using different breathing techniques without actual even intercourse to have orgasms. So it's so possible to have orgasms without even, you know, physically being inside of each other.
Yeah, that is literally so fascinating to me, just the human body in general. Like we, especially as women, like you were mentioning, we keep pointing to our brains because our brain is such a powerful thing. It's our number one sex organ, right? So I learned a few years, honestly, not even a few, many years ago, that women can literally think themselves to orgasm. Like it is literally mind blowing. So the fact that we don't even need that touch or that pressure or anything like that, vibration even, to even bring ourselves to orgasm, I think is fascinating. And I always think, do you remember, I don't know how old you are, but do you remember the movie back in the day called White Oleander?
No, I've never heard of that.
Okay. I don't even remember what the fuck the movie was about, but all I remember, and I was young watching this, but basically there's a scene in this movie where it's a guy and a girl, and the guy takes a white oleander, which is a type of flower, and he's literally just like dragging it along her body. And you see her like breathing deeply and very intensely into this. And, you know, eventually you see that she orgasms from it, and he's not even touching her. And I remember seeing that, you know, as a little girl and thinking like, wow, I want that for myself. And then, of course, you know, society and the sex education that we get teaches you nothing of that nature at all. You know, it's so much shame and all that around that. But even to this day, like the amount of women that they feel that it's so shameful to do this, they're so, you know, to engage in self pleasure, masturbation, and then to try to do that without even using a tool, right? I mean, that seems like it could be something really hard for people. But in your work, do you find that when, we'll say women specifically start to practice this, does it come easy for them, or does it take a little bit longer to get used to it?
I would say because of the shame around it, that it does take a lot of people longer to get used to it, because we're so disconnected from our bodies. So once we started, you know, masturbating or coming close to climax, then we're like, oh shit, should we be doing this? Like, this isn't supposed to look this way, or is this normal for me to do this? And we just start putting like all this extra pressure on ourselves that doesn't serve anybody good, because it's like, if it feels good for you and your body, then by all means, do whatever feels good for you. Like, it doesn't matter if it works for me or if it works for you. It's whatever feels good for each individual person. And as you know, it's going to be based on your individual self, because I could climax in 5 minutes, or it could take me 45 minutes one day, all depending on, you know, where my stress levels are, what I ate that day, where my head's at, who's pissing me off, who's making me happy. You know, we're so complex and everything, but when we're able to like take the time, like beforehand, like set an intention, like, okay, I really want to connect with myself today for X, Y, and Z reason, or just taking a couple minutes to like quiet our mind, maybe meditate a little bit before pleasuring ourselves, or taking a couple inhales and exhales and being like, okay, this is why I'm doing this today, to like release stress from my body, rather than being like, oh, I have to sneak and do this. Because I know when I was a little girl, like I was really intrigued from orgasms. Like I was having orgasms probably like when I was like 5 years old, 6 years old. But I was like, oh, I have to sneak around to do this stuff.
Yeah. And
then you start to carry that shame with you the older and older you get, of like, it feels better to sneak around because that's just what we're used to.
Yeah. Right. Who's going to find out, even if it's, you know, when you're getting older and it's not necessarily a parent, but it might be a peer or a friend or a sibling, and then later on a partner, right? How many women do you know now that are even ashamed to masturbate or even let their partner see them achieve orgasm or watch them orgasm, you know?
100%. I had a client who was with a partner for over 20 years, and I think she told me that she had one orgasm with her partner. And then I think I posted about like the clit sucker vibrator, And she like ordered it right. She was like, oh my goodness, I've never experienced anything like that. And it was just so empowering to hear her say that she was like diving into her own sexual experiences of like, this can feel good for me. It doesn't always have to be like all about the other person, which I think a lot of women put the pressure on too. Like, I know for myself in the past, I was always thinking like, I need to rush my pleasure in order to make sure that I'm not taking up too much time or taking too long to climax, you know? And now I'm like, oh no matter how long it takes me, we're in this together.
Yeah, that, and it's such an enjoyable time. I love that you mentioned that, because there is so much pressure on women to achieve orgasm quickly, right? Because you then think, oh my gosh, I'm taking too much time, or they're getting bored, or the focus is just on me and not on them, and just all this bullshit, honestly, that goes into our head. But to help somebody flip that script and realize, like, enjoy this time, enjoy that foreplay, enjoy that connection with each other. Like, we strive so much for more intimacy in our lives, yet when we get in the moments, we rush it. And like you said, I'm assuming like breath work helps you slow that down and really get in tune with yourself or with your partner.
Yeah, both with yourself and with your partner, because it allows you again to like connect with your body, connect with your desires, what it is that you want, and to also know that like you're worthy of taking 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, as much time as you need to receive the pleasure or the intimacy that you want. I think that's also another like important thing to say, is that, you know, pleasure isn't always like having an orgasm. Yes, they are beautiful, but just connecting with somebody else in a way that feels good for you is pleasure within itself. It doesn't always have to end with an orgasm. And sometimes it's even better when it doesn't, right? Like the edging thing, like, let's foreplay around, or, you know, fool around for 45 minutes, whatever that looks like, 5 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever it feels good for you. And then when you come back, like it's even better.
Yeah, absolutely. So as a facilitator, what does that look like when you're walking somebody through breath work? You mentioned, you know, helping them breathe, maybe putting their hand over the vulva, but how long does typically like a session last with you?
Yeah, so it could really depend. You can do a 45-minute session, you can do 10 minutes, you can do 90 minutes. For me, typically, like the actual breath that we're breathing, you're probably doing about like 25, 30 minutes. And then we're really like holding ourselves in it. We're then like doing sensual touch. We're moving the breath through us. I love making the sound. It sounds like this. Because after you're breathing, like a lot of the energy is still in your body, and that allows it to move through. And then even just like that sensation is pleasure.
Fascinating. Wow.
It really is. Yeah.
Gosh. Okay. So I'm just trying to like put myself in your shoes. So you said you received a herpes diagnosis, and then so you start going through your own treatment and recovery of this, right? And learning how to manage this. You then dabble into the world of breath work, and then you think, oh my gosh, this feels really good. And I know my orgasms feel really good for me. So I'm going to put these two together. And now you're doing this breath work around pleasure.
100%, because it's a way for us to, again, like move out of our heads, get more in touch with our bodies. That way we can deepen our connection with ourselves, with our vulva, with our pleasure. And my ultimate goal is to have people have longer orgasms, because just after the orgasm, you can literally carry that sensation with you throughout the rest of the day in your body.
Yes. And what would be your tips on helping somebody do that piece of it, helping them carry it throughout the rest of their day?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, what I love to do is after I do is to, again, like connect with myself. So I'll either put my hand over my vulva and like my heart, and I'll really just like thank myself for like being in that specific moment, because beforehand I would treat myself kind of like a one night stand and be like, okay, like that was great. Like, let me go wash my toys off and go about my day. But now it's allowing myself to connect in after the orgasm to be like, okay, this is the sensation. This is the euphoria. Is that the word that I'm looking for? I think it is, that I want to feel throughout the rest of the day, and like center myself around that feeling. And then know, like, if I start to like fade through it throughout the day, then I could be like, remember, this is how we wanted to feel, and like bring myself back to that specific moment.
Yeah, I love that. And what would you say are some challenges that come up for people that are trying to engage in breathwork for the first time?
A lot of head chatter.
Mm.
People think that, you know, that something's wrong with them when they're trying to do it, but that's so normal. Like for every session, normally for the first 5 to 7 minutes, your mind is trying to be like, what the hell are you doing? Like we don't ever breathe like this. We don't consciously throughout the day breathe. We're usually breathing so shallow. So it's the people that are like, oh, well, that didn't work for me the first time. And no matter what, with breath work, you get exactly what you need. So a lot of the times, like I laugh or I'll cry or nothing will happen. And each time it's exactly what I need. It's not like, oh, I did it wrong because I didn't laugh or I didn't cry or I didn't have an orgasm. It's like, this is what my body needed. And it's always releasing stuff just through breathing.
Yeah. Just normalizing no matter what experience it is that you get. I love that.
Yeah. Because there's no right or wrong, you know, like, everybody's going to react differently to it. So a lot of people, like if we're in the same room and I have one experience and then you're like, well, I didn't have anything like that. We start to then put shame on ourselves. It's like, maybe I didn't do it right. Maybe this isn't for me. And it's like, keep trying it, keep breathing, because if you are somebody who is super heady, then it's going to take a little bit more for your nervous system to feel safe and like, oh, it's safe for me to breathe, for me to express myself this way.
Yeah. Absolutely. I can relate to that when many years ago when I was doing yoga that you mentioned, I remember comparing myself when we would do the meditation before even getting into the yoga practice, and I could hear other people on mats around me, you know, crying and I'm like, oh shit, I am not in this. Like I'm doing something wrong. Like I'm over here thinking about what I need to go get from the grocery store after this. Like it was 100%. Not. But you're exactly right. Like the more you do it, right? Like breath work is also another type of practice, just as I would say yoga is. The more you do this and you work on it, and I love that you said to set intentions for what it is that you're trying to get out of each session. I imagine the easier it's going to come for you.
Yep.
Literally, pun intended.
Sure. Literally, I love that.
Oh gosh, I did not plan that at all. I swear.
It just comes so natural for
you. What was I was going to ask another thing. Oh, okay. So with breath work, when it comes to self-pleasure, is it something that you would recommend that somebody do every time that they're masturbating? Or is this more of like a special occasion type thing, or maybe like a weekly thing that they should try to practice?
I think it depends on each person, right? There's no right or wrong of what feels good for you. For me, like I personally like to set myself up for success and like feel into my body and then allow like I take myself on a date basically, right? Like before I'm going into the self-pleasure. So whether that's through breath work or taking myself out on an actual date, it's allowing myself in whatever way feels good in that moment to connect with ourselves. So the breath work, just centering in and being like, okay, this is my time for me to just feel good, to release stress, then that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So if you want to do that every day, you want to do that once a week, whatever feels good for you.
Mm-hmm. And is it mostly women that you find that are doing this, or this is something that men can practice too?
Men can definitely practice it too. For me specifically, I've mostly have been working with women. I am trying to dabble more into working with men. But you know, they can be a little bit more closed off when it comes to some of these things. So I work with men like on a different way in order to like help them feel seen. But I definitely think that it is beneficial for men too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And couples together, because if you breathe together, then you can then after the session roll over, look at each other and connect eye contact, and the level of intimacy is just so much more powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to normalize that for people, because again, I'm thinking of my own experience in trying to do this stuff, and even the thought of eye gazing. My husband is so good at that. Like he could I feel like it's like he's engaging in a staring contest with me at times, but I say that jokingly. But for me, like I'm that person like, oh fuck, like he's looking at me, right? The eye contact, it makes me, in the past has made me very, very nervous. So for anybody that's listening to this and you're going to try this for the first time with your partner, just know, like I've mentioned before, like sex in general is awkward. Right now we're telling you to breathe and like calm down instead of hyping yourself up. Like it's gonna be like chunky, right? It's gonna be a little sticky at first. So just give yourself that grace and the time to enjoy it.
100%. It's all about practice. And if it doesn't feel good the first time, try it again, and also communicate, like, what about that experience didn't feel good for you and which parts did you like, right? Like wrapping up your encounters with somebody with like a little bow of like, okay, this is what I liked. This is what I didn't like. That way next time you're feeling those things out and you're like, okay, let's not do those things and let's do more of these things together.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned that, wrapping up. Do you ever recommend for people to journal after doing something like this?
Yeah, I love journaling. I think that it's such a powerful tool, either through writing it or voicing it, or, if you are a coach or mentor and you write a post about like your experience, like whatever way to release, the thoughts that are going on in your head and getting them out is so beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. The more a person can express and share those things, I think the better. That's one thing I've learned. Yeah. In this work, and then personally, through therapy and stuff, the more I can get this shit out of my body and out into the world for, the world to handle it, the better.
100%. Why keep it in? It drives me crazy the more I try to keep it in. I'm like, nope, I'm just going to put it out there.
Yes, absolutely. Well, awesome. I love this, and I feel like as a listener, they've got some helpful things to take away from this. Is there anything that I didn't ask that you feel like is worth mentioning when it comes to breathwork and pleasure and specifically?
Yeah, I think if you are going to try breathwork, remember it doesn't have to be, 10 minutes long, 45 minutes long. You can try it for a minute, and you can try like an inhale through the nose, a forceful exhale out the mouth. Like, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It's just allowing your body to, really get that CO2 moving through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And definitely message us. So how can people find you on social media? How do you prefer to be contacted?
Yeah, so they can find me on Instagram or TikTok at Stephanie L. Boyd with a little underscore. I'm on Facebook, Stephanie Boyd. You can just message me, comment. We can chat, whatever feels good for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I imagine that there will be people following you after this for sure. But like I said, this is 100% out of my wheelhouse, the whole breathing thing. I myself am still working on this. So, but when you can tell me that it's going to give me a stronger orgasm or bring more pleasure into my life, I'm always down for that. So I'll definitely be giving this a try for sure.
I love that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again, Stephanie. I appreciate it. And definitely go follow her on Instagram. As she said, we'll link that in the show notes. So it's easy for you to find. And then, of course, if you follow me on Instagram, we'll make sure to market the hell out of you so it's easy for people to find you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you loved it, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a thing. And if you loved it so fucking much, be sure to leave a 5-star review. I'll see you next week, and until then, keep owning your sexual self.